Everything should be a-okay, so we are good to go. Hello, Eclipse. Welcome to the Autistic Aether pod. How are you today?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me.
Um, I would like for you to explain to the pod what you just did a couple minutes ago, but before you do that, why don't you tell the audience, a little about yourself?
I don't know. I'm not really that interesting. I'm just some average guy. I have opinions that I talk about on the internet. It's really all there is to it.
Well,
I don't.
that
I don't know.
could that could be interesting. Well, since you are just the average Joe man, why don't you tell the audience what you, the average Joe man, just did a couple minutes ago?
What did I do a couple minutes ago?
Destroy your arms.
Oh yeah, I did do that. Yeah,
Yeah.
just yeah. I had to shovel a bunch of stuff before I came here. I don't know. It was kind of a pain.
He lives in Canada, so he gets lots of snow.
Yeah,
And
it's like
he
a it's
yeah,
like
you
a
first.
shittier Hyperborea.
Yeah. Could be
Yeah,
worse. You could live in Alaska. That place looks brutal.
true.
Although I imagine you would never get like any bugs in your house. So,
No. Summer still comes around, and they're there.
yeah. All right. Well, yeah, so he's a Canadian man with opinions who snows stuff, shovels snow. He doesn't snow stuff.
Hang on. I don't shovel snow for a living.
Yes, he does. Don't believe his lies.
This is just propaganda. Can't do
No,
this
it's
to me.
truth. It's truth, and you know it.
Alright, fine. I concede.
See, he admits it. Anyway, right. So, wanted to have you on here because you like the video. I like the video too, and we kind of share something in common because there's a third entry in a series we like where it kind of sucks.
That it
um,
does.
and I want you to enlighten me because I don't know much about Payday, but could you explain exactly why Payday 3 was due to?
Okay, there's. Where do I even start? The heists, I mean, they're kind of boring. The objectives, like, there are several different heists where you just have to stand in circles for an extended period of time, completely outside of cover. It's really annoying and not fun to do. The enemies just seem to be worse in every way. So, the sniper, for starters, it's a special enemy. There's a bunch of different special enemies in this game.
Right.
This has been a thing throughout the entire series. There is usually the sniper, the shield, the cloaker, the taser. In Payday 2, there was the medic, and then there's the bulldozer, who's like a
Mm.
super heavily armored guy.
The big boy of the game.
Yeah, pretty much. So let's start with the sniper. In Payday 2, which I have the most experience with, I've never really played Payday the Heist, but I've played a lot of Payday 2. If you are out of cover and you don't know where a sniper is, you are going to get shot.
Mm.
Sniper shots will pierce through your armor, they will damage you through that, ignoring armor gating. It's pretty tough.
Mm.
While in okay, in Payday 3, they kind of just don't shoot you. They
Oh.
take forever to shoot you. If you get too close, they pull out a pistol for some reason,
Mm.
negating the entire purpose of the sniper.
Um, in the past games, when you got close to a sniper, what would they do? Just shoot you with the rifle?
Yeah, they just shoot you with their rifle, same as any other.
Mm. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So snipers were always a means of area denial and punishing heisters who were not paying attention.
Hmm.
In Payday 3, they kind of just don't do that. The laser is extremely obvious, mostly thanks to the updated graphics, and they take like 8 seconds before they'll actually shoot you.
Ah. You said some of the heists were lame. What exactly do you mean by that? Are they just very not memorable or unique? Just kind of generic?
Well, the objectives don't feel fun. Like I said, there's a bunch of waiting in circles.
Ah.
You There's a lot of
Okay.
waiting. Now, this is not uncommon in Payday, but usually they have you actually doing something that makes sense, while in Payday 3, they will have you sitting in circles to hack Wi-Fi.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
I'm not even
is
kidding. That's what it is. That's the objective, and it's on multiple heists.
is it a lot of copy paste like objectives where you're doing kind of the same thing despite being on a different map?
Not really. I mean, considering the game has very few heists in the first place, it's they at least have some variety.
Mm.
They all feel different.
Hmm. And in Payday 2 heists, like what give me an idea. What kind of like objectives would you do in heists in that game?
Well, you would like drill into a vault or steal a code
Hmm.
or, you know, cook meth.
Interesting. And how would you
Now,
do it? Would it be like a button prompt or standing somewhere or something?
so you'd like interact with something, you'd usually be forced to hold out in an area for a while. Now, this is not unlike Payday 3, but again, Payday 3's enemies suck. I'll
Mm.
get back to this later, but that is another reason why holding out is considerably more fun in Payday 2. I'm getting kind of off topic here, but yeah, the objectives, they suck.
Hmm.
In Payday 2, the objectives aren't really all that notable. Well, they are. It depends on the heist, I suppose. Sure, if you're just drilling into a vault, that's pretty generic. But there's a bunch of stuff like you escort Vlad's brother through a battlefield. That's pretty funny.
Hmm. So, from what I understand, Payday 2 just might have more things going on than just hacking Wi-Fi.
Well, yeah.
Hmm.
Now, you gotta give them some credit. Payday 2 released 12 years ago, so of course they've had a long time to add content over the years.
Yeah.
But even still, I think Payday 2 had more content on release than Payday 3 does now, and it's been like a couple years now.
Hmm. Interesting. Um. So we. So you have objectives that are just not very interesting compared to the past. And you were talking about the enemies, the sniper, for example, kind of sucking. What about the other guys? Were they downgraded?
Okay, yeah. Largely the enemies were downgraded. There are actually some changes that I quite like, but for the most part, it's all negatives.
Mm.
Do you want me to start with the positives or the negatives first?
Let's go positive. HIV
Okay,
positive.
okay. So, yeah, an enemy where I actually saw a huge improvement over the previous games was the shield. The shield in Payday 3 feels fun to fight. Instead of just being a solid brick wall that forces you to bring a weapon in your loadout to counter it, he's got the he's got a small bulletproof, quote unquote bulletproof visor in his shield. If you shoot enough times, you can break it and headshot him.
Mm.
So that allows for more loadout versatility, which unfortunately, given the game's lack of weapon options, is kind of negated.
Hmm.
Not to
Um.
mention, in Payday 2, shields, when you get close, they kind of just couldn't do anything to you, and you could just circle around them or ride on top of their shield, which made for some pretty funny moments, but all things considered wasn't great for gameplay.
Okay.
Payday 3 shields learned how to shield bash, and that will stun you for a few seconds and leave you open to enemy fire, and that's not fun. Well, it is fun, actually.
Mm. I mean, I think
It,
it's better than just you being
oh, yeah,
right in front of their face. They don't do anything.
it's in every way an upgrade,
Yeah. Okay. So Shield's probably the best. Has the best glow up of the whole roster in that game.
for sure.
Okay.
I The bulldozer I don't mind. Also, they gave him a melee attack that stuns you, like a powerful kick. If you get hit by it, you're kind of screwed. It breaks your armor plates and leaves you stunned. It's basically a death sentence.
Hmm.
And he also added, like, they also gave him the ability to just shoulder charge forward, having a similar effect to the kick, but, it makes him move forward in a straight line. It's pretty easy to avoid if you see it coming.
Okay.
It definitely spices up the enemy a bit more, and it feels overall more threatening than in Payday 2, because due to the power creep in Payday 2, you could kill bulldozers in like half of a second by just shooting them in the face with just about any good build.
Hmm.
Yeah, given the fact that Payday 3's skill system doesn't allow for good builds, you can't do that.
So there's less freedom in Payday 3?
Yeah, so I'll get to the skill system later if you want.
Okay. Okay, yeah, that's fine. Let's go on with the enemies.
Okay, next up, the hmm, let's go to the taser. The taser in Payday 2, he would always like spawn with enemies, and he tases you and stuns you, forcing you to fire your weapon at random and kind of shaking your screen around and keeping you still.
Okay.
Now, he does the same thing in Payday 3, except also reduces your health over time. Like every second you're shocked, it damages you going through your armor.
Mm.
The problem with the taser is that instead of having his taser implemented on his rifle, they for some reason decided it was a good idea to make him switch to a taser to tase you.
Ah.
So he will just stand still and put away his gun and pull out a taser in the middle of a fight.
So wait, he could be like a just an average Joe enemy for a couple seconds before pulling out the weapon that he's known for?
Well, the thing is, he doesn't really even shoot his rifle much. He just walks up to you and then decides to pull out his taser once he's
Why?
found you. Yeah.
Well, what?
It I rarely see anybody ever getting tased because he's so easy to just kill them before it happens.
Were people complaining about tasers in Payday 2? Do you think that was supposed to be like some sort of response to it? Like, oh, people are getting tased too much, so we need to give them like a bigger window to like prevent that from happening?
I don't even know. I think they wanted to just make it more unique. I don't know what they were going for. I couldn't guess.
Hmm.
Oh, they
Interesting.
also gave him, instead of having all his electrical components in his gun, they for some reason put this thing on his hip or his like outer thigh or whatever. It's this electrical pack connected to his taser, and if you shoot it, now I actually like this feature somewhat. It's pretty fun. It rewards accuracy. So you shoot this little pouch on his hip, and it shocks himself and nearby enemies. It's pretty helpful. But I don't see how it makes any sense considering this game takes place like a decade in the future. I don't know how the taser would get worse with time.
Maybe it has more battery and that's the improvement. I don't know.
Uh, well, I guess you could make a case there.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
really, if you think about most video games and like really try to think about the logic you're seeing, it kind of falls apart. You're kind of supposed to just have some sort of a suspension of disbelief.
I mean, it's understandable for the most part.
Yeah.
All right. So they removed the medic from Payday 2, and I don't mind that at all. The medic was really annoying and not fun or realistic at all, if you
Hmm.
care for that.
All right.
What the medic did was, if an enemy was killed in his vicinity, he would just revive them instantly, like highlight them green. They just don't die, and they are invincible for a couple seconds. It's really frustrating,
Hmm.
and yeah, the medic just isn't in Payday 3, and I'm happy about that. I don't like the medic.
Where the was the fan base when they heard that? Were they in uproar, or were they like, "Oh, thank God he's gone"?
Oh yeah, I'm pretty sure the sentiment was shared among most people that the medic was just miserable. Nobody liked it.
Oh, okay.
Okay,
Improvements.
there's like one more special that we're gonna go over. Actually, no, there are new specials that were added in Payday 3 that
Yeah.
aren't in Payday 2. So there is the Techie and there is the Nader. So first off, I'm gonna go over to the Cloaker, which was in every Payday game.
Yeah.
He's like this spec ops guy. He wears night vision goggles and all black body armor and clothes. He runs around and, he quite agile and will take you by surprise more often than not, often hiding around corners or behind cars. So he's quite the crafty fella. Now, some issues that I've had with him in Payday 3 is oftentimes when he spawns in, he will just beeline straight to you. And while he's doing this, he plays this iconic sound. I'm sure you've heard it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, like the moment he starts charging, and they don't even. For some reason, they just failed to program his line of sight check for this charge. So he will start doing it around corners, and it makes him very easy to kill.
Hmm.
And yeah, kind of ruins the element of surprise.
So, from what I understand, let's just use Left 4 Dead as an example. Old Cloaker was kind of like the hunter, how he'll sometimes be sneaky or like jump to a different location so he could pounce on you. But in the new one, he just kind of doesn't really have any of the hiding or like preparation. He just kind of bolts towards you like an idiot.
Now, I wouldn't quite go there because I have actually seen some cloakers take me completely by surprise. Like one game I was playing on the Dirty Ice Heist, I was running back to the jewelry store to grab some bags, and there was a cloaker just crouching down behind a car, and the moment I stepped out in front of it, I was instantly down.
Hmm.
Yeah, that actually was quite the pleasant surprise. Well, not at the time, of course, but I
Yes, I know.
deserved it. I should have been paying attention.
Yeah.
But yeah, I feel like it's more of just like jank and coding issues that causes him to beeline towards you instead of an actual deliberate effort by the developers.
Hmm. Interesting. And okay. And you mentioned two new guys.
Yeah, so there's the techie. She flies like drones. There's two types of drones. One with EMP kind of effect that disables you from getting buffs. There are three buffs in the game: Edge, Grit, and Rush, and they proc different skills. So basically, it just negates your skill tree while it's
Hmm.
active.
Interesting.
It's a pretty powerful effect if you ever get hit by it. And
Yeah.
she also has access to a combat drone, which will hide through like windows and stuff and just shoot at you, dealing small damage.
Hmm.
Honestly, I don't mind the techie. It's a pretty fun enemy.
Ah. All right. What about the Grenader?
The Nader, he had some issues on launch, but he's kind of like an area denial enemy. He throws these tear gas grenades that will stop you from sprinting and damage your health through your armor.
Hmm.
It's it's an interesting concept, and I like when it works, but usually he can't throw anything and he doesn't know
Ah.
what he's doing.
Hmm.
It's more just incompetence on the AI's part. When it works, it's great, and yeah. Thing
Dang.
is, similarly to the taser, he can also be used as kind of a crowd control. If you just shoot his grenades on his chest, he
Ah, yeah.
explodes.
There's no gore in Payday, is there?
Uh, well, not like there's blood, there's no gore.
Hmm. Interesting. So when he blows up, he's just kind of in one piece.
Yeah.
All right. Now, how much did Payday 3 change from Payday 2? Like the formula that was in like the previous two games? Because
Well,
yeah.
so the Overkill had a good game, Payday 2, with a good combat system that tens of thousands of players like and regularly play, and they tore it apart and shit out something new.
Hmm.
Yeah, they decided to just take a page out of Call of Duty Warzone and implement an armor plate system for their armor.
Oh my gosh, you're kidding.
Nope, I wish I
Oh.
was.
Hey, funny story. But I'll get to that later. Man. So they copied a different game. Did they do that anywhere else?
Uh, Not that I could immediately point to.
Hmm.
So they all the different armors have different levels of damage resistance and a different amount of plates.
Hmm.
So yeah, there's a few that have a couple plates, one that has only one plate. The fewer plates they have, the faster you can run with them on. Everybody just uses the purple armor because it's the closest to Payday 2. It's like a shittier version of Payday 2's armor. Kind of like the whole game.
Heh. Ayo.
Got him.
Got him. Got him good. How were the
Damn right.
characters written? Like, I know Payday 2 has some really funny voice lines. Was the game just like dry of humor?
Uh, I mean, it's a little less funny. I really like Jacket. They added
Hmm.
Jacket recently in the character pack as kind of a last-ditch effort to revive the game. For me, it worked. I mean, Jacket, his personality is just I really like how he was done in this game. He talks with a tape recorder instead of actually speaking, and just uses like remixed footage to communicate.
Hmm.
So in Payday 2, he had just kind of this generic voice that didn't really have any personality whatsoever. He still had some funny voice lines, but it was kind of repetitive. I don't like how he sounds in Payday 2. In Payday 3, he's got like 5 different voices from different things. There's a female from a, fitness video or something. There's
Hmm.
this dramatic, I don't know, British guy.
Ah, that's cool. How he has like different like recorded lines he tries to
Yeah,
use to speak with.
yeah, for sure.
Hmm.
He's also got this nature documentary footage. Anyway,
Heh.
he's got a lot more character to him. Yeah, I
How
really like
now
that.
I now I know you liked it, but how did the community like it? Was it enough to be like, okay, maybe I'll continue playing this for a bit longer?
Well, the player count went up a decent bit.
Hmm.
It's still far eclipsed by Payday 2, but that is to be
Nice.
expected when the game itself is just less fun.
I see what you did there. Um,
Haha.
hey, welcome to the Autistic Aether, where we just have dad puns. That's all we do. Dad puns and slurs. That's all we
Yeah,
say.
I'm something of a professional.
Yes, sir. Right. Is there any other things you'd like to say about Payday 3, like why it sucks?
So the skill system,
Yeah.
they added. Okay, so in Payday 2, there's 5 different classes, each with 3 skill trees and a bunch of different skills in those skill trees. I think there's 6 skills in each skill tree.
Hmm.
So that would be 18 per class or category or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And you would buy the skills, and then gradually the more skill points you spent in each tree, you could unlock higher level ones. So, and also, of course, you could spend more skill points on the same one to ace it and giving you a second effect.
Hmm.
The thing is, there's more stuff for like I feel like there's just more build variety in Payday 2. You could
Hmm.
do a whole lot. Here's what it is: detection risk. That allows you to make different things like dodge builds or, 75 detection risk, super heavy armor, LMG kind of thing. It's really all up to you.
Hmm. Interesting.
Yeah.
And
There's
there's oh,
Go on.
and I was gonna say, and there's just less um maybe variety or creativity to utilize in Payday 3 skill sets.
Yeah, like I said,
Hmm.
buffs in Payday 3 are separated into like 3 different categories. There's rush, which makes you move faster and procs certain skills based on if you have it active, and it can be refreshed by certain skills. Same goes for grit and edge. reducing your damage taken and activating defensive-based skills, and Edge increasing your damage dealt, and, activating things like refilling your magazine whenever you pick up ammo.
Hmm.
Now, this formula isn't in and of itself a bad idea. I somewhat like it, I won't lie.
Hmm.
It was worse at launch. It's better now. Now, I didn't have the game at launch, so I couldn't really speak on it, but I feel like there was, from what I've heard anyway, there was less variety and survivability kind of sucked.
Ah. Hmm. Yeah. I wonder what you would feel if you were there at launch. You'd probably be more
Oh,
a
I'd
lot
probably
more.
hate it more.
Yeah. is there
Certainly.
is there anything else you'd like to say about it?
Uh, no, not really. I know I didn't really go into too much detail, but nothing comes to mind.
I mean, that was 26 minutes of Eclipse ranting, so I mean, maybe you did go into a lot of detail. Um, it's interesting though, where you mentioned that they had a combat system that worked, and then they decided to just change it for just to like copy other games, because that is exactly what's happening with Killing Floor 3, my friend. I know.
Elaborate on that.
Okay. So, in I'm just gonna list you all the things that this game copies real quick, and I'll go in depth of what like each one is like in game. So the most pressing one that everyone in the community has been complaining about and does not want to happen is that Killing Floor 3 is a hero shooter.
Ah,
In previous
as if
games, oh sorry, you had a
as if we
question?
didn't have enough of those already.
Oh yeah, no. Well, look, okay, Marvel Rivals was successful, and the other one's flawed, but what was successful, so maybe this will join that rank, and we'll make like $1 florillion or something.
Honestly, I don't get how Marvel Rivals was successful. That game is terribly optimized.
I don't get it either, because it looks like an Overwatch clone, and Overwatch is poopy.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like Overwatch, but it runs like shit. It
Hmm.
runs like I'm trying to play some photorealistic forest.
Hmm. I wouldn't know, I haven't played it, because I'm just like, I'm not
Stay far
interested.
away.
If Anyway, yes, they made it a hero shooter. They also took Call of Duty's movement, I guess, where you can vault over stuff and like slide and whatnot. There's even a dash, but Call of Duty doesn't have that, as far as I understand. That's more of a, a Doom Ultra Kill kind of thing.
They did the same
Uh,
thing with Payday 3,
oh
minus
boy.
the dash.
Ah. What else has changed? Oh yeah. There's weapon rarities now, and it follows the exact same system as we've seen like a dozen times. Gray for uncommon, green for no, gray for common, green for uncommon, blue for rare, purple for epic, and there's no legendary orange weapons at launch, but they'll probably be later. Let's be
Oh,
honest.
I haven't seen this before. Tell me more. I'm intrigued.
Yeah. I want to get through the. Oh wait, that was sarcasm.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I have retard brain. I did not pick that up.
Well, we are on Autistic Ether.
Yes, sir. We put our squares into circles and we like it. Um, what else did they change? Oh yeah, the writing in the game, dog water. It is actual millennial writing, and I will have a lot to say about that later.
Do you have any
Um,
specific examples?
ooh, okay. Ooh, well, the characters feel very safe. I guess that's one answer I would use. Like in previous games, they were actually funny and kind of bordered on being edgy. But here they're just like they don't say anything memorable or funny or whatever. They don't have a personality other than like whatever their class character is. Like the girl who's a pyrotechnic makes fire puns, for example. Like
Uh,
that's kind of what I'm talking about. Where it's like you can't write a personality for this person other than what their job is.
uh, I believe I've heard you mention something about how in the previous game characters would more be trash talking the monsters.
Yeah. Yeah, they would. I'm gonna
Is
get more into that in a bit, but I gotta finish the rest here. Um, Game looks heavily uninspired in the art department. Like, there's no it's like there's supposed to be a monster outbreak going on, but the city, like, there's a city map and it barely looks affected. Like, there's no fire or smoke in the sky. There's like only a bit of rubble and a couple corpses. That's it. Like the buildings are still like intact. They're not like in shambles or whatever. And it just looks super like unbelievable. Like, hey, let's
Yeah.
just go on with our day. You
From
see
the
someone
footage I
getting
saw, it looked pretty like clean and relatively unscathed for what had gone on.
yeah. And this was the beta, so I know we don't have all the maps, but I swear the three maps we got, they all look the same. Like it was all just a gray building area. There was no like cool like there was no weather like rain or snow or whatever, winds, nothing like that. It was all just either nighttime or plain daytime. And all the buildings were gray. Like none of them are a different color or have a different color palette going on at all. And just they're all just destroyed buildings that are really don't look that like they're destroyed all that much.
Ah,
The characters look terrible too. Like they look like Concord characters.
right. That's
Yeah,
not a good compare. That's not a good thing to be compared to.
no.
We all know how
Um,
that game went.
yeah. Um, Also, the game has glory kills, as you saw before, and I genuinely do not understand why. You get nothing from doing them. It's not like you get your health back like Doom. Like Doom was smart, because it knew that the glory kills are like a core part of the gameplay loop. You'll be seeing them a lot, so we should make multiple glory kills for all the different enemies, so you don't get bored. Killing Floor 3, there's only like one animation that you just see over and over again, and you don't even get your health back for doing it. I don't get why it's there. Maybe, maybe there's like a skill one of the characters can have in the future, which is like when you perform an execution, you'll get 25% of your health back or something like that. But then it's like, well, why can the other characters do it? And like, why would you give us the option to do it before we get the skill? That's like if I had a skill that was like, you can hack a turret now, but you still allowed me to like go to the computer and mess with it, but nothing would happen. It's like, what's the point? Why didn't you just take that away till I just get the skill where I can actually affect the thing?
Yeah,
Um, and also you saw the UI of the game. It looks so soulless.
yeah. If we could, hang on, I lost my train of thought.
Oh no. Quick, jog your memory.
Oh, uh, oh right, glory kills. It, from what I've seen, Killing Floor doesn't seem to be the kind of game that would even warrant glory kills because you spend a lot of time running away from large hordes of enemies, and glory kills would just send you in the middle of a large group of enemies and kind of spell your death.
Yeah, especially if like and I should mention glory kills can only happen to two enemy types, the small weak fire guys that grab you and the big boys. Like if you hurt a big boy enough that he's down, you could glory kill him, but he's like surrounded by other monsters. You're not gonna like run in through that horde to like perform the execution. That's a terrible idea.
Yeah, and there's not even any incentive to do anything because,
Exactly.
yeah, you gain nothing from it.
It it's gotta be either because I feel like I don't know if this is the right term, but I feel like it's style over substance, where it's like, whoa, did you just see that? Oh, don't you feel so cool right now when you just shove that guy's face into his own chainsaw? I mean, I was streaming the gameplay to my friend so he could kind of see what it was like, and like when he saw the glory kill, he was like, that should be cool, but just for some reason it isn't, and I think I know why. it's because it's like, why did that happen? Why is that here? Like why you're glory killing in Doom, so you understand why it's there, and so you can just be like, oh, okay, so this is part of the gameplay loop, and you can just enjoy the animations. But in Killing Floor 3, it's just confusing.
Yeah. And in Doom, it makes more sense. You play as some superhuman, incredibly strong Marine who is pretty much unstoppable.
Yeah,
You kind of
and
play as the boss.
yeah, it helps with, yeah, you're right. It's in character for the character to do that, and it's also kind of a way to incorporate the fists from classic Doom, but not be useless.
Exactly.
um, is there anything else that the game copies? No, I think that's it. So let's just go through it all in very depth. One thing I want to mention is the game has an attachment system. It's kind of like Call of Duty, except you don't really unlock attachments by leveling up and playing the game. Yada yada. You gotta craft them, and to craft them, you need resources, and you get resources by either killing monsters or shooting tech in the world.
Oh yeah.
And
Oh, go on. Sorry.
the shooting tech in the world thing, like, you kind of want your game to be very immersive. Like, even if it's very video gamey, you could still make it work. But like, I don't think anything can really take me out of like me being like, I am a survivor pitted against impossible odds more than just like imagining some idiot in his free time just shooting cameras and like TV screens while waiting for like monsters to show up and eat his face. Like,
Uh, should I bring this back to Payday 3?
did I remind you of something?
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
So in in Payday 2, you could unlock different attachments for a bunch of different weapons by completing achievements. There was well over 1,000 achievements in Payday 2. I think nearly 1,250 or so. In Payday 3, there's 22.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And
Well,
you
oh,
you unlock attachments for your weapons by just using them and getting XP for them. It doesn't really feel like any fun, and the attachments feel almost meaningless. In Payday 2, you could get different ammunition like armor piercing rounds, you could get incendiary shells on your shotguns. You could
hmm,
basically turn a secondary shotgun into a shittier flamethrower. It was really good.
hmm,
The attachment system was a lot more fleshed out. In Payday 3, the most you're going to get from attachments is slightly more of this kind of recoil, slightly less of this other recoil.
hmm. Yeah, that sounds insane.
It's really a step down.
um, like I said in KF3, you get attachments by either destroying tech or killing the monsters. And I should mention the materials are not shared between the team. So somebody could hoggle the kills and like, or if your team is busy with a horde, some guy could just run off around the map and just shoot all the tech while you're just busy and you get like nothing.
Yikes.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's why I quite enjoyed the progression system for Helldivers 2.
yeah,
You don't need to worry about if Helldivers 2 did what Killing Floor 3 did, you would have teammates shooting each other in the head at extraction.
yeah.
That would be a mess. Can you imagine that?
Oh, no, I don't even want to think about that. Um, and the attachment systems in KF3 also bring a huge problem because in previous games, even though you weren't like max level and were weak, the gun still felt powerful to use, which makes sense because you're going to be playing on easier difficulties to start, and you would want to feel powerful and you know be able to have fun with the game. It's not the case with KF3. Like the guns are dog water until you make them strong, and it's just they're not fun to use. They're also not fun to
So,
use because their animations are awful.
are you saying it's like too difficult from the get-go, or am I misinterpreting it?
Okay, no, I'm saying it's not fun from the get go because it's like it's not that it's difficult, it's that they feel clunky, like weak. Like you need to make them bigger, more powerful. And also I I was something about Killing Floor is that the first game did not have a crosshair. Second game gave you the option to turn on a crosshair, and third game um also does this, though the crosshairs are gigantic for some reason in the third game. But I think without the crosshair, it made iron sights actually viable in the first game because where you would like where your gun was pointed is where the bullet would shoot, right? So you could actually learn to if you play the game enough, you could never have to aim in and whatnot. But if you were like having struggling with it, that's where you could aim in it and actually see where you were shooting. Kind of makes, as I said, iron sights more viable than just having your like little crosshair over an enemy and just shooting them. Um, they and the gun the gunplay worked the same in KF2, where the bullet would just fire where the gun was pointed, and if you were like firing like crazy, your gun might move around and it might hit other areas. In KF3, they decided to copy the Call of Duty method of shooting, where if you don't zoom in, your bullets just shoots wherever the heck, but if you zoom in, then it's more accurate. And it's really stupid.
Yeah, I really don't like that kind of system. I prefer if if I know where my if I know where the center of my screen is, I shouldn't be punished for shooting without aiming down sights if I already know I'm aiming at my target.
Yeah. I also mentioned the guns are stiff, like with their animations. And it kind of took me a while to like figure out why they were stiff. It's because they don't move when when you shoot them. Like in KF2, when you fire a shotgun, not only does it like slightly move back from the recoil, right? But the barrel also goes up for like when the shot's fired before snapping back down to where you're aiming. None of the guns do that in KF3. They all just kind of stay still. I don't know how to explain it. They just don't move as much as they should. It doesn't feel like you're shooting something out and there's like some sort of force pushing the cannon back, basically.
Yeah, I've got some gameplay here, and it seems like the guns are just kind of static. There's no recoil.
No. And also, this kind of bothered me for the shotgun character. Every single shotgun in this game, even off the shotgun character, it's magazine fed. There's not like one where you individually load rounds. Kind of just, I don't know, that just bothers me. I think I know why though, because even uh, there's also an M32 grenade launcher like weapon. The grenade launcher with the spinning cylinder barrel
Oh,
chamber.
classic.
Yeah, it, in Killing Floor 2, it had like dynamic reload animations. So like you would, you know, if you fired 3 shots, you would see the guy insert 3 grenades, and so on and so forth. In Killing Floor 3, I swear every single time the guy just empties out the chamber and then just loads all of them at once. Even if you like fire off one grenade, he just pours the other out.
Does he drop all of them on the floor and then they magically are added back onto his, vest or whatever?
Yeah, like you don't lose the ammo. It's like
Naturally.
I think it's the same for the revolver in the game too. I could be wrong with that, but I would not be surprised. Like this game does not Killing Floor 2, some people say it's a cash grab because how it was handled later in its life. It was kind of like Payday 2 where they added like a metric crap ton of DLC.
Sounds
It
like my
didn't
kind of game.
it didn't start off that way. Like Killing Floor 2 was made with such love. Like the guns, they were mo-capped. Like they actually had like a gun expert kind of like sort of like do things with the guns, and it was all mo-capped, and the animation was at like 200 frames per second.
Oh, are the
That is,
animations,
oh
uh, is it not, did they just digitally animate it in KF3?
yeah, it's not mo-capped anymore.
Yeah, I can see.
And in my opinion, this is just an opinion, but I do not think the sequel to a franchise should be going step backwards. I think they either need to bring it back or build on it if they can.
That's a
I know,
fiery hot take right there.
I know, controversial opinion. I'll be hanged for this, but it is what it is. Uh, yeah.
Would you recommend killing floor 3?
No, I do not. Even if they change it from the beta, like all the glitches and whatnot, I wouldn't recommend it because I just think I don't want to support a game that's just a trend chaser. Like Killing Floor used to just do its own thing, and now it's just trying to copy other games. It just feels like a cash grab.
It's a shame. Now,
Yeah.
while I played a decent bit, I still play Payday 3 myself. I would not recommend you buy the game until they've at least added a lot more heists. There's not enough replayability to warrant spending your money on it, especially how much more expensive it is compared to Payday 2.
Hmm. Interesting. Um. Oh, right. I wanted to tell you about the millennial dialogue. Um. I think where the characters really just goes like, "Well, that just happened." Not even. Oh man. I think the worst offender is the female firebug. I never wanted like the monsters to kill me more in my entire life than when I played her. She is so annoying.
Could you give me some voice lines? I want to know what kind of annoying we're talking here.
Okay, so when she uses her ultimate Fortnite Overwatch hero ability, which is she jumps
Well,
in the air and punches the ground, there's like a fire explosion that comes from her fist somehow. Um, she says like beep, 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 back it up.
you gotta be kidding me.
No, she says that. They also try to be very, like I said, they have a lot of puns kind of about their application or job. She like makes very like nerdy pyrotechnic jokes like I'm gonna need some flammable jelly and like a fuse or what, something like that, you know. Normal humans don't talk like this, especially when there's like bloodthirsty beasts inches from their face trying to rip them in half.
Hey man, speak for yourself.
You just I can imagine now. You're just like you see a chainsaw wielding monster gunning it for you, and you just look at your friends and be like, "He's right behind me, isn't he?"
Yeah. And then I run off the edge of a cliff and run in place for a few seconds before I notice I'm not standing on solid ground before I plummet.
Yeah. Um. By the way, if you're wondering if the game has DEI, I personally think it does. Like, well, the only white guy of the team, he's like completely covered, and I just find that very suspicious.
Does it have a woman?
Two women.
Okay, it's woke.
One
Look,
white
man,
woman, one Hispanic woman.
I
Um,
don't make the rules.
okay. I I really think it is DI though because they have all the two of the excuse me, two of the diverse characters. I kid you not, they like almost never speak English. They speak like their native language.
Uh,
Like the
do they
Japanese guy, I think he only speaks Japanese if the player has like a button call out, like I need money or heal me or whatever, because they know like a lot of people won't be able to understand him. Other than that, though, he like only speaks Japanese, and I have no idea what he's saying because, and this became kind of a meme with the community. The subtitles are just parentheses speaks Japanese and parentheses. It's the same
really
with, yeah, it's the same with the Hispanic character. It just says parentheses speak Spanish and parentheses. And it's like I have no idea what you're saying.
give those translators a raise, damn it?
Yeah, they're not getting paid enough, I tell you.
Honestly,
Yeah. And I don't know, just like the fact that this is a game made in the West, kind of for like a majority English speaking audience. And even when you choose English as your language, they have other characters kind of speak, you know, their native tongue. That just kind of says like they're trying to pander, in my opinion.
yeah. It would be nice to know what your favorite character's saying without having to go to a YouTube video and look up the translations for it.
Yeah. Even then, even if they translate it, like if you're in the thick of it, you're not gonna like, have time to like look down and read. You're gonna have to focus and try to survive.
Yeah, exactly. I would prefer to understand what my character is saying without having to read text while I'm in a life-threatening situation. That's just me, though.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, I checked. If you wanted to understand all the characters fully for this one game, you'd have to learn like 5 languages.
Yikes.
Yeah. Game's supposed to
Yeah.
take place in America. What do they mean by this? Yeah.
Oh, oh, KF3 developers far-right extremist confirmed.
Actually, Killing Floor 1 and 2 were very much like conservative core games. Not even kidding. Like Killing Floor 2, I kid you not, has like Christian metal bands for the soundtrack. The developer, sorry, the CEO of the company, who also is a developer, so I was actually spot on. He also has a metal band, Christian metal band, and one of the songs has anti-abortion in it, and that's actually in the soundtrack. And he actually got canceled for his views.
Oh, did he stand his ground or did he bend the knee?
Unfortunately, this was in 2021. If you remember, things were crazy back then, so he did
Yeah.
bend the knee. Unfortunately,
Uh, I'm not really surprised, honestly.
yeah,
It's
and he had to sell his share of the company to a really crappy company called Embracer. Um, if you know who they are.
uh, a quick Google search will tell me.
Yeah. Um, but I think that's
Embracer
the
Group.
reason why this game sucks because the previous Killing Floors they were independent developers, but now their souls are in the hostage of the guy, and they lost their leaders. So great,
That
I love.
explains a lot because
Yeah.
Overkill was bought by Starbreeze,
Mm.
and look how Payday 3 turned out.
Is it Starbreeze or Deep Silver?
Uh, well, Deep Silver owns it, so
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah. I I really think it's unfortunate what happened to like the Killing Floor 3 CEO. Sorry. Okay, the company that developed Killing Floor is Tripwire. I'll refer to it as the Tripwire CEO. Like, I think it's really unfortunate what happened to him because, like, he didn't even say anything like super duper extreme and unprofessional. He was just like, hey, there's this Texas law that's like against abortion, and you know, I support that. And he didn't say it on the like company Twitter account or whatever. He used his own private, like, it wasn't private, but personal Twitter account,
yeah,
and people just went off on him, and it's just really unfortunate, like that he had to step down.
yeah. Th- this seems to be a noticeable trend. Indie game, like a small studio will make a game, it becomes wildly successful, and then they are bought out by a large company, and they make a sequel that ruins it.
Yeah, I wonder if this was his plan. Like the people he funded this company with betrayed him, so he's like, okay, I'm gonna sell them to a really crappy company that'll force them to make a crappy game, and then they'll get shut
Meh.
down. And I'll get my revenge.
What a genius! Always one step ahead, eh?
He was a visionaire, that's for sure. He was also a gun nut, so I think he is responsible for why the Killing Floor 2 gun animations were so good.
That
And
explains a lot.
yeah. I should mention also KF3 does not have any real world guns, at least at the moment. They said they want to add more later, but if this game flops, they might never get to that.
Yeah, probably not.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see what happens going forward. Will they shut down the game? Will they add to it and improve it? The time will tell.
Only time will tell. See you next time on Dragon Ball Z. No. Um I I do think the game is like Killing Floor 3, even without it chasing trends and just being kind of just awful. There's just like so many other baffling decisions. Like in previous games, most of the monsters were melee based, so they would like come towards you and you had to shoot them before they get to you. In this game, I think 70% of the monsters now have a ranged attack.
depending on I don't know. I haven't played Killing Floor, so I couldn't speak to this, but I personally prefer when enemies in horde shooters are capable of damaging you from a distance. That's why I'm a avid Payday fan.
Mm. In previous games, in the first game, there were only like two enemies that could kind of hit you from far away. One of them just straight up had aimbot. Like it was almost impossible to avoid his shots unless you were behind cover. And the second one was more like a sort of AoE attack around it, sort of like, an explosion almost. Those two returned for KF2, and they also added three enemies that people really didn't like in a later update, which were like killer robots, and they all had like a ranged attack.
Ah, how
Yeah,
does how does the formula of ranged attacks fit into Killing Floor? Does it work well with the gameplay, or is it kind of a nuisance that you have to play around?
it works well with the gameplay, especially since it was such a little little piece, a little piece of it in previous games. But the new game, I swear, like because monsters come in such high variety and they all just shoot at you, it just feels like it's almost impossible to like. And a lot of them don't even give audio cues, I think. So you might just get hit without even like realizing there was like one charging up to hit you behind you, and it's just really dumb. I hate it.
Yeah, I suppose that would make sense, considering it's more of a classic horde shooter with actual hordes.
Yeah. Um. I think I know why this is the case. I think it's to balance the dash. That might be it. The dash kind of sucks, by the way. You like move like 1 foot to the left or right or whatever. It's like so little.
If you time your dash correctly, can you use it to avoid attacks? In like I'm talking Dark Souls iframes kind of.
I don't know if it's iframes. I think it's just moving out of the way in time.
Mm. Does it mess with enemy tracking?
Oh, again, it's very. It's not like the dodge roll in Dark Souls where you can cover a significant amount of ground when rolling. It's again, it's like a little like sidestep basically. So
Right.
it really doesn't cover much distance. Um, but yeah, most of the enemies have like a ranged attack now, and it's not just specifically an enemy could shoot you. It's other things too. Like the chainsaw enemy has a grappling hook that he just shoots out and pulls you towards him. Um, I'm fine with that. I just really don't like the dash. Maybe they could have had us counter it by maybe like he puts his arm back before he like thrusts it forward to like grab you. Maybe we could have shot the arm when he was charging up, and it would like cancel the attack or something. Like you'd have to think quick on your feet, then just press a button at the right time.
Maybe he'd get staggered and it would open it up to more damage or something.
Yeah.
Question about that grapple attack. If you get hit by it, are you just guaranteed to take a bunch more damage when he pulls you in? Or do you have an opportunity to get out of the way?
You mean if he grabs you?
Yeah, if he grabs you.
If he grabs you, you get pulled towards him, and it does do a little bit of damage because like the the hook's impact does
Yeah.
damage. It doesn't like do extra damage.
I reckon there'd be like a follow up when he pulls you in, right? Or is it
Yeah.
just to.
Ooh,
What's that
actually,
like?
you just reminded me of something. This is very weird in this game. So many of the enemies just are like inches from your face, and they will just like haunt you basically. And what I mean is like they'll like put their arms behind their back and roar. The chainsaw guy will like rev his chainsaw in the air, or they'll just like you know like they just goof off, and you could just hurt him while they just taunt you. And I don't. This was never the case in any game, in any of the previous games. When you're in their vicinity, they will attack you. So I don't get what's going on. This game just feels like such a mess, like just all over the place.
A
But
sad trend.
yeah, even when the Scrake, that's the chainsaw enemy, when the Scrake pulls you in, he won't even follow up with an attack. He'll just taunt you, and you could just like back away from him before he does anything. I don't get. I really don't get what the point of that is. Like, is it balancing? Are
Well,
they saying?
Go on.
uh, I don't know if it's balancing. Like, if they were just as aggressive as the past games, it would be more difficult. I personally think that challenge would be needed because the game's kind of easy enough as is.
Hmm. Well, considering its nature as a horde shooter, getting grappled towards a large enemy, that would probably be punishment in and of itself, even if there's no follow-up attack, because he's probably surrounded by a bunch of little guys.
Yeah. Oh man, there's just so many weird decisions I don't get. But uh, I I think they need to get rid of the monster taunting. I do not get the purpose of it. It's just like a waste of animation time when they really need to iron out all the base animations
Yeah.
and
Uh,
it's just bad.
I think there could be room for some taunting from the monsters just to make it seem more lively. Like maybe they uh, are watching over you from a ledge, they scream and then jump down on the ledge and bolt after you. I don't know.
Also, I could be wrong, but I do think all the monsters actually sprint in this game, and it wasn't like that in the previous. Usually, when you saw a fast moving monster, that was kind of like an oh crap moment. You have to react quickly. But I think all of them just sprint until they get close to you, and then they just start like shambling towards you. There's exceptions, of course, but I think they're doing this so maybe rounds could end faster, maybe because in previous games, if there was a slow moving monster, you could just like completely leave it in the dust if you wanted to. But now they all just like run after you until they're like close enough, then they start walking towards you. So, another weird decision.
I
I
mean,
don't get the purpose.
gameplay wise, it makes sense, but it's also pretty immersion breaking if you can see a monster running that quickly. But the moment they get close, it's like a older sibling playing tag when you're 6 years old, and they just kind of let you run away.
Yeah, like it, it just frustrates me to all hell. Oh man. Also, we were talking about. I just remembered. We were talking about game if the game had DI or not. There was also a quote from the British character, and he was like, it was like when he looks at the destroyed-ish environment, he's like, "Man, did Israel politician come in here? Because this place is messed up." And I think it's an Israel politician who's alive right now. And it's like, okay, the game takes place in the year 2091. That person would be long dead and irrelevant. Like, why are you
They
bringing up
just,
current stuff?
I don't know, they just injected politics for the sake of it, I guess.
Yeah. I don't know anything about this politician guy. If it's based to make fun of him, if it's cringe to make fun of him, I don't know. But I'm still just like, this is like, it's the year 2091. The guy's 70 years old. He would be long dead.
I don't hate politics in games in and of itself, but it should make sense for the environment and not just come off as forced,
Yeah,
which is a hard thing to do.
look at Metal Gear and how it handles politics. It's not like it doesn't really reference the like current event stuff, right? It's mostly about like the universal like concept of like war and whatnot.
Yeah,
It makes
exactly.
sense. Yeah.
Oddly enough, that was the example I was going to bring up,
Yeah. Nice. Two great minds think alike.
that they do. Stole
um.
my thunder.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
If I
you
had to,
should be.
if I had to close off the Killing Floor discussion, I'd say it's a trend chasing game that has no soul, and that kind of just got rid of all the things that made it special. It shouldn't have been Killing Floor. It should have been like a different game. And the devs were wrong for firing their CO over having an opinion.
I think that about sums it up.
Yeah. And there was something I wanted to ask you. It's your opinion on gatekeeping. What do you think about it?
I think to some extent gatekeeping is necessary because look, you let a bunch of people into fandom, and instead, more often than not, instead of trying to join with it and make friends with the people there. They kind of just want to make it their own and change the identity of the fandom.
Yeah. Like, um, how much should somebody like get into a fandom before they like stop being a tourist though? Like, for example, if one was to get into Warhammer, would you say like, oh, you play Warhammer games, you read like the books, blah blah blah, whatever, but you don't play the tabletop game? Sorry, you're not a real fan. You're still a tourist.
Well, as a tourist myself, uh, I'm not qualified to speak on this.
Mm.
No, a tourist and everything. It's quite unfortunate.
You're not a tourist in Payday. So let's use that as an example. Would you say like you gotta play Payday 1 or else you're not a true fan? Like
Uh,
how would it
no,
work?
no, I don't even like. I don't think Payday the Heist is really even that relevant today. It's very similar to Payday 2 in formula, as it should be, because that's how a sequel is supposed to work.
Yeah.
Payday 3. Uh, Regardless, it's kind of like outdated now. Payday 2 is just a far better use of your money. There's much more to it. The modding scene is really big, even in 2025.
Hmm.
I mean, mods aren't everybody's thing, but
Yeah.
it's pretty fun if you know how to do it. Not give your computer aids.
Everyone wants to do that. What are you talking about?
What, give their computer aids or mod their game?
Uh, AIDS.
Oh, yeah.
You know, you're a gay man. You can vouch for that.
That's a blatant lie. So we are just slandering people live on your show.
Yes, we are. Anyway, no, no. I might have to bring the gatekeeping topic to somebody else then, if you don't if you claim to be a tourist and everything, because I mean, like, I don't know. I feel like it's kind of a complicated question. Like, when are you like an actual anime fan? Like, do you have to watch 3 shows? Do you need to read like the manga and then watch the show? Do you need to just like? I'm just curious where it like ends. Like, I know
See,
tourists are people that get into a fandom and they don't like what the entertainment has to offer and they want to change it. I know what a tourist like. I know what a tourist is, but I'm wondering like where's the opposite? Like where do like actual fans come from? And like is it accurate to call you a fan if you only interacted with this much with the entertainment through like this way and whatnot?
look, I wouldn't say you need to consume every piece of material for a certain media that exists to be considered a fan. Like, if somebody's got 500 hours on Payday 2, I'm not gonna call them a tourist because they haven't played Payday the Heist.
Mm, yeah. I think that's fair. Like if you get introduced through a sequel, have a lot of time on it, maybe you decide to research the rest of the franchise and you're like, "Oh, so that's what it was like." Okay, maybe you play it in your free time or just watch videos or just understand what it is. Maybe yeah, I think that's fair if you even if you don't interact with everything, if you at least have an idea of what it's like because, you're more knowledgeable than a tourist would be.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I'm pretty neutral on the whole gatekeeping thing.
Mm. I just don't understand why tourists just need to change everything to fit their weirdo view of what the entertainment should be. Like I tried a demo on my Nintendo Switch for a Monster Hunter game. And I was just kind of like, this isn't for me. And I just uninstalled it and moved on with my life. I wasn't like, wow, they need to make Monster Hunter like be what I want it to be. Forget all the fans and like what they like about this. No, I don't like it. So therefore, the devs need to change it for me. I don't get that mentality. Like, if you just don't like something, then just move on. Why is it so hard?
Yeah, I agree there. We shouldn't. go out of our way to change things to suit other people who are getting into a fandom.
Yeah. Hmm.
As some would say, don't like it, don't buy it.
Yeah. The, there's been a lot of discourse with the Killing Floor community, especially with some YouTubers who I wouldn't say are tourists. They kind of are defending Killing Floor 3, and I don't know if they're shills. I don't know if they just genuinely do not understand what the issue is, but
They're
it's just. Oh, sorry.
If I could give my 2 cents, I'd say they're probably shills. I mean,
I
Payday
mean,
3, the moment it was announced and the first gameplay was dropped, it looked like all the YouTubers were talking about how this was gonna be the best thing ever, and that Payday 2 would be left in the dust, and yet here we are.
oh yeah. Oh man, do you know the YouTuber the Act Man?
Yes.
Oh, did you see he had a Payday 3 video? And it was
I did
like,
not.
Payday 3 is a certified banger. And he got so much backlash from it. He had to change the title to Payday 3 was a certified banger. It's like,
Nice. Nice.
yeah, I used to like that guy, but I really don't anymore.
Yeah.
I find him disingenuous. And it started with the New World review for me because he got sponsored to play that, and he was like, "Why is New World so awesome?" But from what I understand, New World is like a really bare bones MMORPG, and it's not great. And I mean, he deleted the video because it was like so hated.
I was never really a big fan of Actman to begin with, but it really opened up when I saw his defense of the disaster that was, I think, Dragon Age Veilguard.
He defended it?
Yeah.
You're kidding?
No, I wish I was.
Oh my gosh! What did he say?
He was like, this was mostly on the character creator, which
Hmm.
was especially something, I could say. I was like, hey man, it's just an art style. If you don't like it, don't buy it. A line we've heard before.
And they
But
didn't
if
buy it, and it flopped.
and it but if you don't buy it, you're a racist bigot.
Yeah, we can't win.
Well, no, you're supposed to buy it and you're supposed to like it.
Oh right, my bad, my
Yeah.
bad.
On man, do
Sorry,
better.
I have a lot to learn.
Yeah, you do.
um, man, yeah, I really don't have any respect for Ackman anymore. I find him very disingenuous. And his videos were like the thing back in the day, but I really started to think he was going downhill since 2019, and it just only got worse. Oh man.
I mean, I was still in my mother's womb in 2019, so I couldn't
True, I
speak on
forget.
this.
You're like 5 years old. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Man. um,
Awkward
who's
silence.
right. I can bring this back. I'll bring it back to the Killing Floor 3 YouTuber shill people. I don't know.
All right.
I'm friends with one of them who got access to Killing Floor 3. He's gonna be mad at me. um, right. There were some Killing Floor 3 YouTubers who got access to a beta early, maybe to showcase the game and whatnot. Um, and one of the people who did not get a key is probably the Killing Floor YouTuber with the most subs ever. He's halfway to 100K. And I have a feeling he didn't get a key because since the beginning he was kind of like, okay, this looks not great. Like he was actually very honest with how he was feeling about the game. And it's not like the other people were shills. They definitely weren't getting paid, but I just don't think I think they were just kind of accepting of what Killing Floor 3 was when they maybe should have been more critical.
Criticism will not be tolerated,
Yeah.
especially not before launch.
Yeah. And yeah, some people are using oh, you just hate the beta? It's just a beta. It'll be better. It's like, oh boy, where have I heard this story before? Let's
This is the
see.
first time for me.
Let's see. We got Payday 3, Battlefield 2042, Concord, Suicide Squad killed the Justice League. Um, all the crappy CODs, Call of Duties, and more. Like, the game comes out in a
Battlefield
month,
5.
folks. Sorry, what?
Battlefield 5 too.
Oh yeah, Battlefield 5. That stunk. um, right. What was I? I gotta think. Right.
Have you seen the new Battlefield Labs thing?
I've seen a little bit of it. Is it? Does it look promising? I don't know.
I don't know. I was asking you. I haven't seen enough to.
Hmm. No, I can't say. I would need a Battlefield expert on this because I'm a tourist and I don't want to say something that is like contradictory or like, oh, it has to be this way, blah blah blah. Like I should let an expert do the talking, so I'm gonna let an expert do that when I get the chance.
Right? Do you know any
Yeah.
people that play a lot of Battlefield?
Oh yeah, I do. And
Should have one of
I'm
them on.
oh yeah, I plan on it. He's the uh he's the mad lad. This is a little sneak peek for you folks. He's the mad lad who made the infamous conservative core list on Twitter. If you know him.
I'm unfamiliar.
Ooh, I'll have to show you the list then. I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's a shame I didn't like know about that when he was making that. I would have so recommended Killing Floor 2 because it is just conservative core at its heart.
Nice.
Yeah,
Would you recommend I get into Killing Floor 2? Is it past its prime, or is it still a great time to get into it?
I'll be honest. The game was past its prime since 2018, but the gameplay is so strong and so good. I think you'll have fun, and there are mods if you
Nice.
wanna, yeah, if you
Well,
wanna have some fun with that.
pretty
But if
much
you,
any game. Go on.
okay, I was gonna say, um, it was past its prime in 2018 because it kind of started to get some really bad updates, and the devs kind of stopped caring, and it became a cash grab. And they were able to maintain it though because the gameplay was so good that people were kind of like, I don't care, I'll still play this game. So if you want a game that was kind of like good from start to finish all the way through, play Killing Floor 1. It is the best in the series. Um, it has a bit of jank because it's old, but it's also the scariest game because Killing Floor does advertise itself as survival horror. And yeah, I think you would like both games either way. It's just up to you.
Right? Check them out. Maybe we could play sometime.
Yeah. Killing Floor 1 is pretty dirt cheap a lot of the time. I think it gets like $5 during sale. Same with KF2.
Okay.
Yeah. Be warned though, both games have DLC weapons, so if you want the full arsenal, you might have to pay up.
Oh, I'm no stranger to emptying my bank account for game DLCs.
Yeah. Hey, I see what you did there. Right.
I didn't even catch it.
Yeah. Okay, right. Awkward silence. We gotta continue on. Name your favorite and least favorite minority.
Like minority what?
Worldwide.
Are we talking like I don't want to be too politically incorrect here because as you know, I'm incredibly PC.
Yes, of course you are.
Yeah. So what kind of minorities we talking?
Um,
Like
the most oppressed minorities,
oh,
gamers.
like yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I this is a hot take. I think gamers are pretty cool. Now, I'm not one myself, but I'm a gamer ally, as the PC mob would say.
When you say PC, it has a whole different meaning now.
Ah, damn it.
No. Like it still work. The joke still works.
Oh, punny.
Oh yeah. Or dad puns, right? You
Well,
have
we
you.
do that here, don't we?
Yeah, we're very punny.
That
Um.
we are.
So Killing Floor 3 flopped for me. I personally don't care where it goes. I'm not interested in this new direction. Um. So I'll ask you: is there any other games you're looking forward to this year?
Uh, I don't know if you play much Souls-likes, but I've seen Elden Ring Night Rain,
Hmm.
and that looks like something that would be very worth playing.
Yeah. So, so Elden Ring, Night Ring for you. Interesting. Anything else?
Uh, Nothing really comes to mind.
Ah,
Do you know
I,
what Elden Ring Night Rain is?
it's multiplayer. Well, more multiplayer Elden Ring, right?
Yeah, it's meant to be like some kind of co-op roguelike, but with Elden Ring, like Souls-like combat.
Okay, that could be fun. It's different,
The
and
weapons, I don't know, the weapons seem really unique from what I've seen. Of course, I've only seen the trailer, so naturally, they're going to make it look as good as they can.
isn't it interesting how companies like FromSoft and Capcom could release games like nearly every year, but like a lot of American companies, they take like 3 to 4 years to release games. Why do you think that is? Do you think they're just so huge they could have like multiple games worked on at once by like hundreds of people or something else?
I don't know. Uh, I'd say they might have a lot more waste in modern Western games because of things like trying to appeal to the modern audience that just doesn't exist.
Yeah. that's that's the direction KF3 went. Not even kidding. When the developers said, "We know Killing Floor is very cult-like, so we want to try and make it for a more broader modern audience." And it's like, "Oh, it's doomed. It was
Yeah.
fun, lads. It's doomed."
Once you hear that, it's over.
Like who thinks, "Oh, this is a very cult series. Let's make it for a modern audience." Like what was the process between
It's
thinking
like
of
a
that?
it's like they wanted to make a tourist attraction.
Yeah. Ugh. I
Yeah.
don't even think it's gonna work for a modern audience because, like, there's not really any reason to play KF3. Like if you want like horde shooters with lots of content, go play Helldivers. It's way better. Or if you want like hero shooters with lots of content, Killing Floor 3 is gonna only launch with 6 heroes, 7 maps, blah blah blah. Like Marvel Rivals seems to have way more heroes. It's like, go play that. Like, why would anyone want to pick this up? What's the reason? Like, the OG fans hate it because they've been abandoned by the devs, so they don't want it. And the Zoomer Fortnite audience that plays hero shooters, whatever, they have plenty of other options. There's not really any, like, enticing reason they would want to pick this up.
Yeah. Uh, I mean, it's kind of the same with Payday 3. They so far deviated from the formula they had that worked. In Payday 2, how armor would work, you would have a certain value of armor. It would just be a number based on how much what you're wearing and your skills and whatnot. And so your armor would negate exactly that number of damage. If the damage was more than the amount of armor you had, it would not seep over to your health. So you could use your armor to negate, like, you could armor gate is what it's called.
Hmm.
And if you played smart, you could avoid taking damage entirely if you just only got hit in your armor and used cover a lot and are good at taking out enemies. In Payday 3, taking damage is kind of unavoidable, and over time, enemies will wear you down no matter what.
Ah, it,
And
yeah, that sounds annoying.
yeah, not to mention, uh, you know, in Payday 2, accuracy is kind of more rewarded, I think. It's hard to say. I don't really know where I'm going with this point, but yeah, I prefer Payday 2's combat because it allows you to play smarter and effectively last forever if you know how to survive. Whereas Payday 3, enemies will kill you slower, but they will kill you.
Hmm. Thing. Oh,
Yeah.
my computer keeps like the monitor keeps turning off for some reason.
And
Oh,
not
that's
to
strange.
mention, Payday 3 is just too easy. I hate to be
Ah,
that guy, but I could queue up into any game on a loud heist on overkill and just win.
Hmm.
You don't even need to coordinate with your team. You don't need to use chat. There's no voice chat feature in the game, so you're forced to use text and stop moving while you type to your teammates.
Hmm. I don't know if I could say KF3 is easier than KF2 because I never played on the hardest difficulty during my beta time because I was just like I was low level and I really didn't like the game, so I didn't have like an antithesis to like keep going and level up and whatnot. I kind of just gave up. But I don't know. I feel like it's only like harder, like arbitrarily, because in that game in KF3, you had a syringe that was on a cooldown. So if you were like taking damage really fast and your syringe wasn't recharged, you could die and whatnot. Kind of had to hold out while it was getting ready. But in KF3, you have limited syringes, like up to 3. Though I think there's skills where you could carry more, and just like I feel like that's just like they changed it to make it again artificially harder.
Is there a way
Cause
to resupply your syringes, like, between rounds?
yeah, between rounds in Killing Floor, there's something called Trader Time, where you have to go to basically a store during in a specific part of the map, and something good KF Killing Floor players will do is make sure they are close by when the last monster is killed, because when the last monster is killed, the trader will only be open for a couple of seconds. And, if you're really far away, you'll spend most of that time running there and may not have enough time to restock and whatnot. Um,
Wait,
yeah. And in KF3, you would have to buy syringes.
what was communication like in that game? Does it have voice chat, or do you have to use some third-party software like Discord?
I had voice chat, I believe. You could also type in the little what's it called? What's it called when you type stuff in again? I can't
Uh,
remember.
Text box? I don't know, chat?
Yeah, you could type in chat, and so if you don't have a mic, you could be like, "Hey, yo, help me." I should also mention in KF3, you can't use your syringes on teammates. So if they're hurt and you have like 3 syringes because you took barely any damage, sorry, unless you have a medic weapon, you can't help them.
So in KF2, you could give up your syringe to help your teammate?
Yeah, you could give up some of your syringe charge to help a teammate. There was more teamwork in the previous games. This game just kind of feels like you do whatever.
Yeah. I mean, that that's kind of an issue with Payday across the entire franchise. People kind of just go off and do their own thing. But I prefer when games incentivize people to work together. Now, there are some objectives that do force team play, but broadly it's just people going off and doing their own thing, holding out in different corners of the map.
Hmm, interesting. Oh man, it's just it's just unfortunate, to live long enough to see things you love just get ruined, especially if you were waiting like 10, nearly a decade for the next installment and it just turns out to be utter trash. I
Yeah.
uh, if Doom the Dark Ages flops it as a bad game, I don't know what I'm going to do.
Yeah, I don't know, man. You know, I might just be delusional, but Payday 3 seems to be on an upward trend. Along with the jacket update, they also added skill lines for kill weapons. Overkill weapons are these powerful ultimate weapons that after a certain amount of kills you could call them in. Or in the case of the new overkill weapon, it's just a baseball bat and you equip it and kind of go on a rampage with it.
Uh,
So anyway, they added a basic skill that's just innate, and then they added 5 different skills that like add on top of that basic skill that you get as you level up the weapon. And that added more survivability to the different weapons. Like it for example, the baseball bat, it would allow you to regain health while you're getting kills with it. And since it protects your health while you have it active, and enemies instead just damage your overkill meter. It's just pure health stacking.
Hmm.
So, yeah, it somewhat helps with the issue of just running out of resources.
Um, so we've been going for an hour and a half. I think we should call it here. Is that okay?
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. So before this ends, I have two questions to ask you. One is, where can people find you
Uh,
if you want to be found?
well, I mean, my X account is banned, so there's that.
Ah,
I don't know. You can add me on Discord if you want.
okay. Do you want me to
It's
link your Discord?
actually on second thought. Let's not do that.
Okay, I will not link your.
I don't know.
Okay,
I'm an anonymous figure. I lurk in the shadows.
he just exists. He is an entity.
You can add me on Steam. How about that?
You want me to put your Steam account out there?
Sure. There's nothing really on there.
Okay. And do you have any final sentiments for the children?
Uh, don't pre-order games.
Amen. Well, thank you, Eclipse, for your time, and thank you
Thank
for
you for
listening
having me.
to the. Oh yeah, no problem. Thank you for listening to this if you did, and we will see ya later.